The views expressed on this program are those of the commenters alone. They do not represent the views or opinions of Valley News Live, our parent company, or our advertisers.
Welcome back to Point of View, where we present all sides of a story, and the best part, you get to talk with us and get your opinion in our broadcast. Tonight, a conversation with North Dakota's governor. Chris Berg, host of the Chris Berg Show on AM 1100 The Flag, asks Jack Dalrymple about the state's future, its finances, oil development, and the proposed Red River diversion. Here's Chris.
Good evening. Tonight in the Hot Box, Governor Jack Dalrymple talks about something he recently released, North Dakota 2020 and beyond. With me tonight in the Hot Box, Governor Jack Dalrymple. Governor, thanks for joining me this evening in the Hot Box. Last week at a couple press conferences, one in Minot and one in Fargo, talking about this vision for North Dakota 2020 and beyond. What is it, sir?
Well, it's a long-term vision for the future of North Dakota, and it goes beyond our traditional 10-year strategic plan for economic development and gets into the real picture of what we want North Dakota to be like years down the road. And we're using a steering committee to gather input from people all over North Dakota. We have an advisory group of 30 people that are helping them, and they're going to go around the state and they're going to ask everybody to say what they have to say about how we should take advantage of our newfound prosperity in North Dakota and what people would like our state to look like.
You know, Governor, you mentioned the newfound prosperity. Obviously, our state is doing extremely well in contrast to other states across the country. There's people here, right here locally, that'll go out and say that right now North Dakota has got $5 billion just sort of hanging out in the coffers, hanging out in reserves. Is that true or not?
That is not true, Chris. I don't know where that $5 billion number ever came from. It had to have been pulled off some statement of assets and forgot to talk about the liabilities or something. We have had budget surpluses in the $1 billion category at times, but you have to keep in mind that, you know, even those funds are dedicated or targeted to specific uses. So the amount of available funds at any given time is much, much less.
You know, there's a lot of talk about Measure 2, the elimination of property taxes. As I just mentioned, I think most people in North Dakota have this belief or this idea that, hey, money is just flying into the coffers across the state, which in my opinion, I think makes it a little bit easier argument for those that are proponents of Measure 2, again, eliminating property taxes. What's your take on Measure 2, Governor?
Well, let me say, first of all, Chris, that, you know, we would all like to see our property taxes in North Dakota lower. That's why the last couple of sessions we put together a proposal to reduce property taxes by $400 million to all the property taxpayers in North Dakota. That is the least favorite tax of all, and that's certainly where we should look. But I believe that Measure 2 is unworkable. It eliminates all property tax, and that impacts every county, every city, right down to the township level, even the parks. It just makes it almost impossible to work. But I know that one of the arguments is that there is such a tremendous surplus of funds at the state level that it's justified. We have to be very careful there because, as I said, the amount of funds actually available on a carryover basis to help with the next budget could easily be taken up by all of the many demands that we have coming.
Speaking about demands, I know that there's a lot of demands in western North Dakota. Unless you're there, Governor, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's pretty hard to comprehend what actually is happening out there. As you know, this airs up and down the Red River Valley. With what's going on there, people in western North Dakota say, hey, our culture is gone forever. There was a recent article in the paper talking about more and more people buying guns, stun guns, pepper sprays. Is it time for the government to step in and slow this thing down?
Well, I think that, you know, we have to be careful about, sticking with the facts about what is going on. We know that there's a tremendous amount of disruption in western North Dakota from the tremendous pace of oil development that's going on. There's a lot of commotion for a lot of people. Their lives are becoming hectic, and they would rather not have it that way. But looking at the actual situation in terms of what the state of North Dakota can do, we are sending a tremendous amount of resources out to western North Dakota, about $1.2 billion to be exact, committed to the 17 oil and gas counties in this coming biennium. About 2/3 of that is actually still to be distributed out there for roads, for housing credits, for emergency medical services, for more highway patrol officers. All of these things are on the way to western North Dakota, and that will deal with a lot of the issues that are out there. We continue to ask people what more we can do as a state. We continue to work with, of course, county and city officials, trying to help them get impact funds from our new Oil Impact Grant Fund. These dollars go out 100% from the state to any political subdivision that has serious impacts from the oil. Having said all of that, we know that there are still big changes in western North Dakota in people's lives, and we continue to work on mitigating that as much as we can.
Governor, two final questions for you. One is this. Last night in Christine, a big meeting about now they're looking at litigation that's going to come from the people upstream, from the MNDAC Upstream Coalition about this FM diversion. I had Representative Paul Marquardt on my radio show this morning. He's out of Minnesota. He said, look, I'm not real happy with this diversion. Minnesota may not fund it. And they don't really have a lot of money. If Minnesota says, hey, we don't have the money, we're not going to fund this current project, any chance the state of North Dakota steps in to match those funds for Minnesota?
Well, I think all of the, parties that, have said they would contribute to flood control are going to have to come through. That project is still a long ways from home. The next thing that has to happen is we need to get a record of decision from Washington, D.C., which actually makes the project official. Then the sponsors, which is Cass County and Fargo, can begin to talk to people about modifications to the project. During this time period now, that really is not possible. But the folks down in southern Cass County certainly want to have their input, on how the project works, where it should come out of the Red River, and, how much water should be let go through Fargo. So all of those things will be discussed.
Governor, last question for you. You've been asked by several groups to participate in debates. From a political operative standpoint, I can understand why you would decline. The people of North Dakota, I'm sure, would like to see you out participate in those debates. Why not just accept and go out and debate?
Well, I will debate, Chris, down the road. Once I become the nominated candidate of the Republican Party and I'm out there running for election, I'm sure we'll have several debates between myself and the Democrat nominee. People will have plenty of chance to hear what we have to say about the issues.
Governor Jack Dalrymple of the great state of North Dakota, thanks for your time. Thanks for being in the Hot Box. Look, North Dakota is in a very blessed place. We've got some challenges, and they're good, positive challenges. Here's my question for you tonight. If you were the governor of North Dakota for a day, what would be the first thing that you would do? What would you change? Go to our Facebook page. Let us know. We'll look forward to hearing from you. Stephanie?
All right. Thanks, Chris. We've got a lot of people talking about this already. So if you were the governor of the state of North Dakota, what would you change? What would you do? BJ Gorder says no property taxes. Bank of Bismarck should start distributing the excess money to every school in the state. They not only have more than enough from the oil revenues, they could buy and sell New York about 8 times over. James says we should do as Alaska does with their oil money, share it with the residents of the state. I think, don't they give out a check every year to some of the residents? That'd be very interesting. Roy says this is a very interesting one. He says, I'd push the feds to allow North Dakota farmers to grow hemp. Minimum of farmer inputs and growers in marginal land, better fiber than trees, not to mention that it replaces corn or fuel. We'll see if that goes anywhere. Michelle says this, though, it'd be in direct contact with the leadership of the oil-producing counties, trying to find ways to make the needed infrastructure updates that they desperately need. Some of these towns are really struggling to catch up. Schools, roads, hospitals, housing, etc. She says it is not safe. Then Adam says he just wants more taxes. All right, thanks for your responses. You can still talk to us about this. It's not too late for your voice to be heard. Chat with us live right now at 630pov.com. Tweet us your comments. Our hashtag is 630POV. Or get in touch with us on Facebook. You can always leave a comment there, send a message.